I'll try and remember not to go to my emails or something like that.
Oh, okay. Mark is showing something really cool because we had something that broke, and obviously broke accidentally, but then it was fixed accidentally. We kind of would like to know what's going on. So Mark is showing how we can use Git bisect so that it can do a binary search for us to find the right commit that fixed it. Cool.
Sure. So
we're doing the opposite of, you can use it to find a bug, but we're trying to find what fixed it.
Yeah, exactly. Which I don't see why Git wouldn't sort of be would be biased that way. So let's give it a go. So we start with git bisect start, and then we tell it what this commit we're on right now, which is master, is good, because let me just verify we're on origin master. Yes. So git bisect good is this one. So git bisect view, just to see where we are. So we've told it what one good one is. We need to tell it what the bad one is. Git bisect bad, and we're going to guess that it was master from 2 days ago.
Yeah, So look at the error, and I think they use bad and new as aliases, and good and old as aliases. So, which is weird, I think with this, we're doing something opposite, where we want to see what fixed something. But I think for bisect to work, bad has to be a newer commit, it sounds like.
You're right. If I do git bisect start, git bisect, what is it aliasing? Good and old, bad and new. So git bisect, this is the new one.
Yeah, that probably makes a lot more sense.
Git bisect old is, let me just verify what master at 2 days ago was. It's actually coming out at 8 days ago, which is probably too old, actually. So I probably want to be more specific when I pick out that commit. Let's say,
oh gosh, but because it could have commits from, okay. What's this TIG thing you're using?
It's called TIG, and it's a command line Git tree browser kind of thing.
This is nice. I'm a fan of what I'm looking at right already. Oh look, there's one that I merged. But yeah, I think we want to just go like 3 days ago or 2 days ago makes sense. Oh,
let's go with around about 2 days ago. Let's go with this one. So this commit here. So I'm going to say git bisect old, this one. There we are. So it's successfully taken this.
Roughly
300 revisions left to test.
Gosh, after 8 steps, we would have the answer. I'm so excited.
That's binary search for you. So now it's put us in a commit somewhere in that range, which presumably is the one that is probably the one that I said was the old. I don't know what it's doing, but it's put us at a commit.
One that's in the middle right now.
So now what I could do is I could run my script to set up the GDK for this.
Oh, nice.
Commit.
I have one like that too.
I actually wrote mine inspired by yours.
Oh, so nice.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Mine is just it's just a little function which does some basic stuff. I imagine it's very similar to yours.
Nice. Yeah, that is similar. You actually migrate the test environment too. That's a good call.
Yeah, because so often I'll find that I can't run aspects and I have no idea why, and I run around for like an hour and then I'm like, oh, I didn't migrate the test thing because the error is just not there. So it takes a little while, which is why I'm glad it's only 8 steps to test.
Yeah. So while this is running, let me ask you unrelated question, but related to migrating databases and booting them up. Have you run into the issue of, oh, it looks like it's good to go. have you run into the issue of reviewing a merge request, checking out a branch, running migrations, and there's a migration on that branch, but then like something happens and now your whole local database is broken because there's a migration that is not in master that's in your local database?
I've not, fortunately, come across that.
You rock.
Do you have a solution to that?
I don't. The last thing I did was, because you'll just run into like random like table conflicts because you're like, oh, like a field already exists or a table already exists. The last thing I did was like, okay, fine, I'm just hopping into the SQL client and dropping this table and
just drop the table.
I know. So I don't know. That's burned me a bunch of times though, where I've like, okay, I guess I'm restarting everything because our guide technically says like, hey, if you've checked out something with the migration, make sure you revert the migration before like switching branches again or something. But I don't do it enough and I forget about it every time.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just checking my GDK logs. Everything seems to be okay, but it's taking a long time to stand itself up. I'm not sure why. Maybe because Zoom sharing, screen sharing in Zoom takes quite a bit of resources. Maybe it's going to load now. I'm seeing a bit more activity. Yes, waiting for.
Woohoo. So we kind of should be able to just restart Rails and migrate the database. Like maybe that would be enough in between commits, or do you feel like it's a good idea to just go ahead and do the whole gambit again?
We can attempt to shortcut it, I guess, because if that fails, we can just do the whole thing, and it should clean up a mess that we've left potentially.
I'm kind of
and
now.
This is
okay. Woohoo! I'm kind of thinking it might be neat. You know, you and I have this GDK refresh script. It might be cool to have a like a refresh quick one that maybe doesn't do a full thing.
It could be. In my experience, I almost always want to bundle install yarn, run migrations, and those are the time-consuming things, really. And I'm not sure. Maybe there's some services that we don't need to restart that we can keep running, but I don't know what they'd be.
Maybe the Rails background service. I know kind of that can take a little bit of time to spin up. But yeah, I don't know.
Do you know, I think that sharing my screen is making this much slower than it should be. So I'm going to stop sharing for now.
Well, I'm so stoked to be learning about Git bisect. Now that you stop sharing your screen, I see that, and I feel it that there's sun in my eyes. I'm gonna go adjust the window real fast.
This issue that we're trying to diagnose, did it occur in issues? Is that?
I mainly noticed it in merge requests.
All right, I'll open a merge request then.
Is it running faster now that you're not sharing your screen?
It is. I'll share again when I'm ready to test the behavior because. Okay, so here we are in a merge request. And remind me how we want to try and replicate this.
I would leave a comment on a thread using an emoji.
Maybe that's not what I want. Okay.
Then that works. leave it, but then go to the bottom comments box and try the emoji. And it's not working, right?
It's not working. So that's good.
Yes.
So that means that we correctly chose the old commit. So I'm going to share my terminal, go back here, and I can say git bisect. And we use the old and new terminology, and I guess that's saying the old behavior and the new behavior. So this is still showing the old behavior, this commit. So now it's halved the number of revisions to check, and we've got 7 steps left roughly. And it's put us on a new commit. So now I can probably, I'm going to GDK stop Rails. It's like, yeah, oh, my terminal died. Yeah, it does that.
I would go ahead. I'd go ahead and just run the full thing, and that
maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stop sharing my screen again.
Okay, but that was exciting.
I'm really glad, actually. I thought that we picked the wrong commit to choose for the old behavior, but I'm now fairly confident we'll find at least a handful of commits that are responsible for this.
So while you're doing that, I just checked out the latest on master, I think. So while you're doing that, I'm actually going to run master locally and double check that it's fixed.
That would be awesome.
Because that would be another thing we could run into. It'd be like, oh man, we went through all 7 steps and we ended at the end of the list and it's not there.
Cool, thank you. So for what it's worth, the one that I've marked new is this commit hash.
Did you message it to me on Slack?
I certainly can do. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. That's why you don't know what I'm talking about. Yes, it's on Slack in the thread that we were discussing.
It's okay, cool. Then I'll just check that one out.
It would be a nice mysterious message for people lurking in the thread to see.
They're like, oh man, maybe I have to send Bitcoins to this address. We'll double it. That's, yeah. Does Twitter have like, can Twitter be used as a single sign-on? Like, do they have sign-in using your Twitter account to different things?
I think it does, yeah.
That's really scary. My gosh.
I haven't actually read into what went wrong. Was it like, did they have a security issue in their
They're still having it. They're still going through it, I think. So it's still all these accounts. And what's scary too is it could not be Twitter, but it could be like these like tweet management services or whatever that manage your social media stuff that have been hacked. But my goodness.
This is why single sign-on kind of scares me. Actually, it's a single point of failure.
So how do you feel about, and you're being recorded, how do you feel about things like 1Password?
Personally, I wouldn't use it. I use I use KeePassXC, which is like a, not internet connected. You've just got an application which processes a file on your machine and it's completely local. And that's what I rely on personally. But I'm pretty conservative when it comes to stuff like that. It's a pain, for instance, if I want to get my passwords, but I'm in another country or something like that. I can't just log into 1Password. I have to SSH into my home server, which I might not be able to do because I don't have an SSH client with me or whatever.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, so I recently got 1Password personally, uh, and the main reason is I think my wife and I, we really need to share some passwords, and um, she doesn't like the passwords that I generate for.
They're too hard to remember, presumably.
Something like that. So, and yeah, I won't write them down. But now I've given them to the cloud service, so I guess I've written them down. But 1Password is pretty good. Like out of
as UX, its UX is very good. Yeah,
and I feel like it's done security well, but maybe I just feel like that because its UX is really good.
don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I wouldn't ever put my email password. Like that's one that I feel like this is a single point of failure that like I need to control my email password. Like
I do genuinely worry about my Google account getting locked or hacked or whatever, because yeah, everything falls like dominoes from there. It's really frightening. And they used to happen years ago. People would find that their Google accounts, their Gmail accounts just got deleted because, it happens. Hopefully that isn't possible anymore, but it still makes me worry.
yeah.
Were you able to verify master that commit?
It's still booting up for me. Sorry. Thanks.
Oh dear.
Thanks for keeping us on topic.
I have loaded up. Let me just verify that. I have loaded up the new commit that we bisected to. Let's see if I can recreate it.
So you might need to have an empty comment box on your the bottom. That might be a factor as well. Like so if you clear it and refresh.
Yeah. That's a good point.
That emoji looks like Java.
I think it is. Oh yeah, it really does actually. Interesting. So let's repeat roughly. So that works, and then that still works. Then we go down here. Oh, that worked interestingly, and that still works. I'm skeptical that maybe
Let's try it one more time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you can send me this commit too, I'll check it out.
Yes. That's not what I want. Let's try this again. So is that empty? That's empty, yeah. I mean, if we find it after one bisection, then that's fantastic.
But these jumps are going to be the biggest jumps. These first ones, so it is very possible that it is fixed now, which is great. Very exciting. Can you go ahead and try to maybe? Oh yeah, this is great. Awesome. Oh, it's broken now? Nope, not broken.
It seems to be okay.
Okay.
So I'm tempted to say that this is demonstrating the new behavior.
I think you're right.
Do you want to verify it on your side, or?
Yeah, I will. I think mine finished booting up, so I'm going to double check that it's. Well, I guess I don't have to double check that it's fixed on master. We just checked that one of these commits is fixed. So I'll just check out this commit and double check it if you want to go ahead and do the next bisect.
Cool. So this one I'm saying is the new behavior because it seems fixed.
Ooh,
okay.
75 revisions left to test after this. I love Git so much. I don't understand. Some people don't like it.
Who doesn't like it?
You read comments about there's a thread on Hacker News saying hey, what's the worst technology that you have to use every day? and someone talks about Git like not being intuitive or whatever, and I'm like, it's really nice. I've used like Team Foundation Server like when I was doing .NET stuff, and I just wanted to jump out a window, and I like that.
Yeah, I think the Git CLI is got a lot of rough edges. Like a thing that came up recently is the discussion of how the Git CLI sort of confuses the concepts of squashing and rebasing, but they're really, because you can only squash while rebasing. But technically, you can squash without rebasing, and you can rebase without squashing. So they're kind of distinct concepts.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And things like that, like if you want to set the branch pointer to point to a new commit, you have to reset it hard. Like, that's not intuitive.
Yeah. I understand the lack of. So here's the thing: is I get that it's not intuitive. I also appreciate that, like, you're dealing with a somewhat non-intuitive data structure. Like, it's super helpful once you get what's going on.
Once you get what's going on.
Yes, that should be its slogan. It's super helpful once you get what's going on. But I think, yeah, it's a hard problem that they're solving, and some other like source control management stuff that like deal with, oh well, we all have to have a shared file system that we're all writing on. Like those kind of things are really scary, and I really appreciate the problem that gets solving is how do we do this in a distributed, non-centralized way. And I can appreciate that it's hard. When I've learned new Git commands, I don't ever really I don't find myself critiquing it for its lack of intuition. I guess a lot of the terminal stuff seems to be like we're so far removed from intuitive. Like, let's just appreciate that we're just trying to piece together different softwares as best we can. Oh, Nico's here.
While we're talking about Git and version control, there's an experimental version control system called Pidgel, which is super interesting. Basically, Git, it's possible for Git. Git's merging model is not completely sound, as in you can get the wrong behavior, you can get the wrong merge result given to two branches, and Pidgel goes into why, and Pidgel fixes that. And Pidgel means that makes it super easy to cherry pick, because every commit as such can be put anywhere at any point. I won't bore you with the details.
Isn't that kind of how Git works too?
You need to read
Can you add the link to that in the thread too? That'd be
Mac, you know that you provided more nightmare material for Paul. Now he's gonna
I do hope I really like it, and I hope I never not use it. But I know that things don't last, but Vim seems to last a while. I like using Vim. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Git switching to SHA-256 hashes from SHA-1s is probably going to cause a bit of a problem, I suspect. That might be a time when things get tricky.
I thought they already updated the SHA for Git, right?
My understanding is that they've done a lot of the groundwork to allow switching out the hashing algorithm, but actually doing it and doing it in a backwards compatible way, I'm not sure if they figured out.
I think it's only something that can be solved with new commits, like going forward. Like,
well, I think it's more that it needs to be done for a repository as a whole, like an existing repository. I'm not sure. I can't remember what the details were.
Man, I'm so scared talking about it. But yeah, do you want? Are we at the next step?
We are at the next step. So let me just verify that's empty. Yeah. So 100, that one worked. Label. This seems to work nicely.
Nico, are you familiar with Git bisect?
Yeah, so using never you
Aha.
actually harness the power.
This one is broken.
You're not sharing your screen, so but I trust you when you say it's broken.
Oh, that's disappointing. The aha moment is quite satisfying. But anyway, I'm hitting my keyboard and you can see like it's just not working. So
You found the
great.
commit? So,
Not yet, but I can now say git bisect, and this is showing the old broken behavior, this commit. So we're getting down, we're getting through. GL refresh.
I bet we might even be able to just eyeball it now, looking at this list of commits.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Let me paste this into the Slack channel.
this is like what brought me here. So the amount of hash is growing, and I said, okay, I need to join this conversation.
I was joking with Mark that if you send Bitcoins to this address, he'll double it.
I will double it if the amount you send me is 0 Bitcoins. Or some negative amount, actually. I can double that.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
I'm going to stop sharing because that really slows down the process.
Really? The GDK refresh?
There's no Zoom screen sharing for me, like consumes crazy resources on my machine, which really slows down GitLab.
You are on Linux, right?
Yes.
Or,
Maybe it's the video encoding is not hardware accelerated or something. I don't know.
I would think that would be it.
Yeah.
What flavor of Linux are you running?
Pretty boring. Ubuntu LTS 2004.
I thought that you were an Arch guy.
No, Arch. When I was younger, I might have been into that, but I just want my stuff to work.
That's for the crazy kids.
I did that during the university time, but you could do differently at computer science, right? It's like, if you don't have Arch, who are you?
I used to use Gentoo, which is like very similar to Arch in the way that it's very minimal core and you just compile everything for yourself, kind of thing.
So I was using Elementary and was a huge fan of it. And then I was doing a game jam and we were using Unity. And Unity was claiming to have Linux support. But on Elementary, the UI was just super wacky, where like Windows had no scroll bars, but they were overflowed, and you had to like drag to like see full dialogues of like wizards. And I was like, man, is this just broken? And no one was talking about it. And I tried it out in Ubuntu and it worked. I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to Ubuntu. So I'm on Ubuntu now, but I was looking at Mint. I was thinking maybe I'm going to leave Ubuntu and go to Linux Mint.
I would say don't. Just don't.
Okay, I kind of don't like the snap packages thing that Ubuntu
Agreed.
is really pushing. And but I know Ubuntu was like, that's the target distribution. Whenever there's an application that's like, it supports Linux, they're talking and it works on Ubuntu. And
or Debian.
Or you feel like Debian is?
I would much more recommend Debian, although it's a bit more sort of do-it-yourself slightly. The thing with Mint is that they've had some really bad security issues in the past because they're just a small team.
Oh, man.
But they don't they pull the kernel from? Aren't they Ubuntu based? Mint?
Yeah, I think they're based. They are. They've gone back and forth between being Ubuntu and Debian based, and whether it's Debian Unstable or Ubuntu LTS, I don't know, but there has been, I don't know, this is from like 1 or 2 years ago, there was some bad security stuff because they just weren't updating their repositories fast enough.
That's what really scares me too about the Pine phone. My dad, he's getting into hacking with the Pine phone, and he wants to make it his main phone and stuff. And I'm like, this stuff is really early, which means, you know, we haven't found all the bugs yet, and that kind of thing is really scary.
Some wounds, hopefully.
I tested out. I tested out the that commit where it was working, and it worked on my machine too. So I think.
Oh, great!
think
so I didn't mess that up.
Working on my machine is a statement that should be banned, though.
It works on our machine.
Oh, okay.
So that's that. Oh no, I didn't clear this. Let me. I need to refresh the page. Sorry.
When this happened on production, I had it was a very confusing moment, to be honest. I was trying to approve an MR and I pinged somebody instead.
Okay. Okay, that's broken. We have another broken autocomplete here. Okay, good. So this one is showing the old broken behavior. That's what we're doing. Yes. Okay. Next one.
How much does bisect works? Which every iteration, or do you set it up for the first round?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So when you run git bisect, right, you go back X amount of in the history, X amount of commit, right? Correct? Or I'm totally mistaken.
So what you do is you do this. So you tell git bisect starts, so Git knows that you're starting bisect. So you tell it that the current commit is bad, or that's an alias for new. New in this case is a bit clearer because it's actually, we want to swap the bad and good. So we'd say git bisect new on master, and then git bisect bad or old on a commit that you knew where the behavior changed. And then that kicks off, doing these three commands then kicks off a process where Git chooses, it starts bisecting between these two commits using a binary search method, and checks out that commit, and then you tell it, this one is bad, this one's good, and it keeps bisecting until it narrows down.
Okay, so the initial range you had to find somewhere, like you were sure that it was still working, I don't know, previous milestones or something, or hopefully something closer.
Yeah, we just went back 2 days because we knew that roughly that was when it was broken.
So this is, this commit you're looking at right now is 16 hours ago. So I'm trying to
paste that. I did.
I'm trying to check out like an area around it to see where this could have.
Cool.
Where this could have gotten fixed. Do you know the command for doing like a git log, but filtering it by date? We just talked about the usability of Git.
Yeah, I think there's an author date long option, git log author date or something.
Okay, let me figure this out. Git log by date.
Yeah, you can do since. Limits commits to newer than date 1. And you can also add until.
Okay.
So, or before and after equivalent, actually.
So if I want to go before. Yes.
What's another thing that's pretty cool about git bisect is that if you have, say, a test suite that you can run via a script, you can provide that script to git bisect, and it will just check out each commit, run that script, and then automatically just find the commit for you. So you can just set that running and disappear off somewhere. Unfortunately, we don't have that. But
yeah, we could have maybe written something like that, but that would have taken probably even longer.
Is the comment box the rich content editor? Is called like that as a component?
I don't know.
So because right before the last commit that you did, I was checking like by like front end work, and there is a editor like custom render identifier for like we are touching the rich content editor in view shared. Could it be that?
Let me once this is loaded, let me get view DevTools up, and we'll see.
This is the SHA, but I'll put it in a different way because this is just me speculating.
Why is view not coming up here? That's weird.
What?
There it is. Okay.
What are we looking at?
Markdown field. That's what it is. Does that answer your question, Nico?
Yeah, apparently it's not the same.
Cool. Okay, so that is empty. Let's do this. 100 table. That's good. Fine. Still broken. Okay, interesting. Yeah, it's definitely broken. Let me clear that. Good. So this is showing the old broken behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Which committed is that?
It's 26B3B1.
Really? No, that's the previous one.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So what's pretty cool is I can do git bisect view, and it tells us a history of, oh, no, that's not what I want, git bisect. Log, that's what we want, I think. There we are. So it tells us the history of what we've done. Should I just paste that into Slack?
So I'm getting the feeling that you've done this before.
Yes.
That's really cool.
So GL refresh.
Wow, look, it even logged it out as like comments. It logged it out as like hash comments to a file or something. That's weird. I like your comment, Nico, about I've been drinking the Git Kool-Aid. Yeah, I feel like we're so close. We should be able to just eyeball something now, but I'm having a hard time finding a range of commits that are interesting.
Yeah, this is like a perfect use case for git bisect in that case, because it could. This is the thing. Like with keyboard shortcuts, keyboard interactions on the DOM, like anything could be. You could have a completely unrelated component which is messing this up, right?
Yeah.
Feasibly.
Yeah. No, totally. I think you're right.
But it's funny that it got fixed without us realizing what happened. So it's.
Yeah, which means it could break without us realizing what happens.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? A good outcome of this session would be to add a test for this, if we could.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless it's like something like, just something didn't clean up properly, something unrelated, and that's not a satisfying test to write, I guess, because it doesn't sort of.
I think we can write a feature spec for it. Like,
Yeah,
running
you
through a
can do.
script ourselves right now. I think we could totally write a feature spec for it of, have a thread, leave, use the keyboards to leave a comment, which I'm pretty sure Capybara can do. And then see if we can use the keyboards to leave an emoji.
Well, you can send JavaScript if Capybara can't do it, so you can actually type inside. No, I guess.
Maybe. Well, but it's that keyboard interaction that we really want to like test. I think Capybara can simulate keys.
Yeah, it's like send keys or something, or maybe that's terminology from another testing framework, but something like that.
I'm learning to appreciate Capybara more than I have in the past. I think it's nice.
I mean, there are still better tools, but it works for us because it's baked in the system, right? It saves a lot of bootstrapping.
It's nice that it comes with all the Rails helpers, like generating datas and stuff. That's nice. But yeah, I've never used Cypress, so maybe I'm also drinking some Kool-Aid with Capybara. I've never used Mercurial, and I'm saying, hey, Git's great, and maybe I need to broaden my horizons.
I used to use Mercurial at one of my previous companies, and actually, how you specify commit ranges and stuff in Git, the way Mercurial did it, it had its own like language for that, and it was amazing. You could construct super like complex queries to get exactly the commits that you wanted, and I missed that in Git actually.
Wow. I see you doing some fancy stuff already with like you did the 2 days ago. I was like, oh man, that's it. I'm tapping out. Mark's got this.
This is again where Git is weird though. So that feature, being able to specify a date stamp in there, relies on your ref log, not on the commit date, which means that if you've cloned the repo fresh, I don't think that works, if you see what I mean, because your ref log is empty, which is rubbish. But there we are.
That is interesting.
So
is that why you did it and it was actually like weeks ago? Is that
yes,
why?
exactly, because that's what my master was pointing to weeks ago.
Right. No, and that that makes sense. Oh man, this is.
I didn't mean to do that. I'm going off script. Yeah. It's a habit. Control Enter.
Now you need to start over the whole process. Start bisect from scratch.
Start from scratch.
Well, did you ever work with SVN?
Yeah, that was a nightmare.
Yeah.
There was like merge day.
where
someone merged in everyone's branches, and it always went wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, this one works.
Wow, the plot thickens.
I'm going to refresh the page one more time just to verify that.
Good idea.
Just in case I screwed it up. This chain of emojis. Oh no, I've done the same thing again.
Are you just hitting enter and it's doing a review automatically?
No, I'm hitting Control Enter just from habit.
Because you normally use the review feature instead of single comments?
Yes.
I normally I like leaving single comments because I tend to do reviews like sometimes I know like, okay, this review is going to take a couple of sittings, and I'll leave comments so like, okay, so they can start working on stuff before I've actually completely finished.
Yeah, I do comments as well, especially if I'm on the same time zone as the person that I'm reviewing, and sometimes they are chasing me, right?
Yeah.
And then I finish, and then they finish answering, and it's like, okay,
Those are good
iteration
feelings.
cycle flattened.
Yeah, that's a good feeling. You feel like, oh, I'm actually collaborating today.
But
So just 2 more steps left, guys.
Wow. Wow, the power of binary search. I'm impressed with binary search.
I was like looking at your clock. I'm like, what? I need to be on another meeting. I said, no, I was in that meeting already.
I'm going to stop sharing because of slowness.
Is Danish going to be at this maintainer meeting?
I hope so. I hope we don't push this again.
Because I added a point, but I will move it down if he's at the meeting so that we can first get to his, because it's like, well, it's a month, maybe more, that it's going through.
You should put it before his point. Just.
Yeah, it's already before his point, but
Oh, really?
and because he didn't move it, so that's why I was asking you if he's there.
Oh, I'm 90% certain he'll be there.
Okay.
So I would let's do his. We should probably do his point first, because that's been unfortunately bumped a couple of times. I think this next week we'll do the APAC friendly time, and so I need to figure out how to do that on the calendar. So I think every week we're gonna do alternating APAC and EMEA America time.
So I created the current front-end maintainer meeting.
Are you able to
on the front-end calendar? Sorry?
Am I able to move it?
Well, that I was going to ask you.
I'll try it right now. I'm not really doing a whole lot. I keep hitting git log on my terminal, but I'm not doing any queries. So
Yeah, just doing some emotional support to Mark.
I kind of want to feel like I'm helping out. So I go to my terminal, git log. I was like, okay, those look like commits.
I feel like my GDK is taking longer and longer to stand up. Like, it's still not ready. Maybe I need to check that it's not broken. That would really bum me out, actually, if it's broken, because I don't want to fix that.
Does it have some sort of compiled cache when you go up and down based on what you changed? Like the Rails side, not the JS side, no, but.
To be honest, I have no idea. I suspect not. Like, Rails is so dynamic. It just probably does everything all the time. Does all the things all the time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Unlike Python, which emits bytecode once you run it once, kind of thing, and updates the bytecode afterwards. But I don't know.
I was coming from Python as a backend framework and language before Ruby, and I must say that I appreciate it a little bit more. It's
appreciate
also more
which?
Python and Django in general. It's also more of like newbie friendly. It's friendlier. Well, Python is known to be like very simple language, right?
There's less magic in Django and Python.
Exactly. Right? That's the thing. The least magic, the easier is to control click your life around, right?
Yeah. The thing is, though, bundler and gems are much better than whatever mess Python has.
This is a good point.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, every time I've had to interact with Python dependencies, I'm like, oh god.
In today's world, have you used pipenv?
It's a disaster. Yeah, and
you
Python 3. I mean, it definitely helped the disaster that it is. But my idea is that Python works well if you have it containerized on Docker, like is maintained by that team or that person that knows how to deal with those dependencies. And then on your machine, you don't do anything. You just Docker compose up.
Poetry is supposed to be the sort of the thing where it's at for Python, but I've not really used it, so I don't know.
I liked not doing it.
Another broken.
Wow.
Yes. Interesting. Okay.
I like doing pipenv a lot more than virtualenv. And so that's why I was like, okay, I think I can get behind this one.
I want to say this is old behavior because the old behavior was broken. That's what we're doing,
Yep,
right?
you were right.
I'm finding it super hard to remember that.
Yes. Yeah. It would be really hard if we used bad and good as we're the opposite.
This is true. I'm glad I switched. Thanks for calling that out.
Okay, I feel like we're so close. Like, man, you got to be able to eyeball it now. But I'm creating an APAC office hour, so I'm gonna try to. I duplicated the calendar event, and I'm bumping it 7 hours in the future.
Will you be able to attend, Paul, that one?
Technically, it's like 4 over here, so it should be fine. I'd be able to hop on sometimes. Sometimes I wouldn't, and that's okay.
Are you doing that weekly or bi-weekly?
So it's bi-weekly. So I'm gonna then also remove. I don't know how to do this.
You know what? It will be great if one of the APAC maintainers takes ownership of this, and they may be able to adjust it on the fly and this kind of stuff, right? I don't want to push a task on anybody, but it makes more sense.
I think I'm gonna go and check. Everybody can modify the event.
Yeah.
Is that cool?
I think that's the GitLab way.
That does sound like the GitLab way. All right, I'm saving it.
Speedy meeting.
Yep. Oh wait, no, this isn't even the right date, is it? Wait, what day is it?
Yes.
Thursday.
Sorry.
Today's Thursday. Why does it say June 25th? Oh, I'm creating one and on the wrong day.
Oh no, broken master. Oh no.
We've had a lot of broken masters actually in the last week, haven't we?
I mean, and the task that is broken is cache gems. Who said that the gems works really nicely?
It's my fault. It's my fault.
I'm just gonna click retry here and see if this actually helps. I mean, cache issue, retry is the first step, right?
burn the cache with fire and then retry.
Yeah. Oh. Oh, geez. I was thinking if it will make sense to have an event dedicated to taking a look at refactory or front-end guidelines and front-end docs in general, because I keep seeing them are popping up, but we are addressing stuff one by one.
I actually have it on my to-do list to update the docs on something else as well, which is recommending returning promises rather than using callbacks in test functions.
Like, are we still is somebody still using callbacks?
Yes, and in our docs, like the main example uses done callbacks.
Oh, geez, yeah, this is the stuff that we should fix, because then it generates. Okay, this is a no for me. It generates not just confusion but also. What is that emotion that I can't pronounce now in English?
You can hide. One thing that totally happens with flaky specs is it'll hide the real error, because an error happened before I called done, and then it just times out rather than returning a promise that actually errors. That's one issue I know that happens in spec world. For sure.
Yeah, no. What I was pointing out is definitely technically wise is not okay, but it causes attrition with the author, especially if they are not front end, but it's a community contribution. Then they will do something that follows the docs, and then you go as a maintainer and say, no, we can't do this. Yeah. This is super wrong. Fix this. And they're like, well, I was following the docs, and
one kind of it's not working.
It is no,
it's not working. Oh gosh, I sure hope. I I sure hope we're gonna find it.
Well, it is one
ridiculous.
step.
This doesn't seem like this would actually fix it. Oh gosh. So I don't.
So,
my problem is I don't know how to get log a. I don't know how to get log a commit after. Like I can do get lo from that hash, but I want to do one before that hash, or like around, so I can getting something around the hash, which is really bugging me. I don't know how to do that.
So you have a hash and you want some commits either side of it.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's directed only one way, right? So you need to do a couple of queries, I guess. You need to go back from now to that commit plus 2 days, and back from now to that commit plus minus 2 days.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
There's another version control system I could link you to called Fossil, which implements proper sort of bidirectional linking, so you know what the parent and child of a given commit is. So it makes that easier.
But that sounds like you're not going to be able to. That sounds like you're not going to be able to cherry pick things the same.
Apparently you can. It's got all the same sort of semantics as Git. It's just got more rigorous data structures involved, and it uses SQLite, I think, as the store rather than just files.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't things go out of sync when you do like this kind of stuff?
No idea. You can also, it has a built-in like issue tracker and stuff like that in the repository, which is quite neat. So it's not just the code, it's also all the issues and so on.
Oh, geez. Come on, come on. Apologies, the dog is post surgery and he does silly stuff around the house with his gigantic comb.
Oh no. Is he better after the surgery? Is your dog better after the surgery?
Well, this is, I guess from his point of view, he was better before. But, you know, it's a mandatory surgery for boys, if you know what I mean.
I see. Gotcha. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm a little sad. I don't know if we're going to be finding it.
Well, git bisect won't lie. It's one step, right? He said.
Sometimes when you do binary search, the needle's not in the haystack.
Well, it could be.
Can it?
Especially if it's not like, it could be something really wonky that's not like, you know, binary search only works if it's really sorted. Like we could have fixed it and then reintroduced it and then fixed it. Like you could, like, if that's the case.
But you're looking only at master, right? If you're looking only at master and we squash most of our commit, isn't the history linear? Right? It makes sense what I'm saying? Deterministic more than linear.
Yes. No, it's definitely linear, but like and this is an edge case, but since we don't know what's causing it, here's an edge case. If we had fixed it and broke it and then fixed it, and then we try to do binary search, we could end up in a spot that doesn't actually help us.
So what I'm going to do right now is I'm looking at, I've done this wrong. 8264. Yeah, so I'm going to diff the last two commits, which were new and old respectively. And let's do a stat on that. 116 lines. The bug is introduced somewhere, or sorry, fixed somewhere in there.
Are these the last two? I thought the last two was above at the top.
Oh, have I done that wrong?
Looking at the ones that you sent, you recently sent 9AE.
Did I? It's not showing up in the bisect log.
Well, that's the one you're on, so I have no idea. Oh, what's the
because I haven't marked it yet.
I see. The one before it was 3.8, and so you're probably right on the way you're going about it. Sorry about that.
Let me just.
Yeah, you're right. Those last two at the bottom are the last ones.
Oh, that's not what I wanted to do.
It looks pretty. Oh, okay.
You can do arrow up for editing.
There you go.
Speaking of keyboard shortcut.
So I've refreshed this. Let's just double check that this is still there. Bounce. What is bounce?
You know, it's like a bro bounce.
So this one, this commit seems okay.
It works. Oh my gosh, my mind is blown.
So
I was thinking it wasn't going to work. Wow.
So git bisect new because this is the new fixed behavior. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So this should be the last time. It's saying that this is the commit which changed us from the old behavior to the new behavior. So let's have a look.
Scanner from security report scan.scanner.
What?
Gosh, this doesn't look like it.
No.
That can't be it. That's nonsense. Oh, that's a real shame. How can that possibly be true?
And yeah, my heart is sad now.
You called it.
I mean, if it's broken here and it's fixed there, then there must be.
Can it be something like how we are compiling stuff, and so the GTK refresh are actually making the bug appear and disappear?
So I tried when it worked. I tried it locally on my machine to just double check is it actually working, and it did work.
It did work.
Can you, in which case, can both of you, this bug, can both of you verify that this commit is broken and this commit works? Because if that's true, I don't understand how that can possibly work.
I'll check out.
Right?
Do you want to check out the broken one, Nico, and I'll check out the one that works?
Yeah.
Let me just put this in the thing. So the last two, the old one and the new one.
Okay, and then we may have to I'll check out the new one if you want to check out the latest.
Yeah, I'm taking the old.
But I appreciate everyone's time, and I don't want to. This is really bugging me, but I know that I got to stop at some point. So.
Well, in 15 minutes we need to run in the next meeting. So at this point, nothing is gonna happen in those 15 minutes, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, geez, the container registry. Stop the registry. Okay. Stop.
So the other approach to this, and so doing git bisect, man, this seems so helpful, but I'm really this bug is weird. The other approach would be when it's broken. Let's try to really understand what's going on. And because this is in a separate package, I was kind of planning on dropping a bunch of console logs on that node module to try to compare what's happening, and maybe if we felt like pairing on it, we could figure that out. But probably what's the best use of our time in the future would be to write a feature spec for it.
I was wondering, can you write a feature? Why did Zoom disappear? a feature spec and then run it through Git on the CI, commit by commit.
That's one thing we could do too, if we have a feature spec for it. But we'd have to also like we'd have to create a script that also like refreshes the GDK and stuff and runs a feature spec, and that's totally doable. And that would be cool. Yeah, if we write a feature spec for it, we protect ourselves from the future, and we're able to determine when it got introduced. That'd be pretty sweet.
You know, to write a proper feature spec. Oh, okay, we know when it's broken, the first time it's broken, so you could write it on red there and then green.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Over. Yeah. Actually, the GTK is slow for me as well today. Today is not the day, I guess. You were, just to reproduce 100%, you were testing this in issues, right?
In merge requests.
Merge request?
Yeah.
This project doesn't have a merge request.
If you leave a comment on a thread with emojis and stuff, and then you leave one at the bottom, you should be able to recreate it.
Mm-hmm. I think I need to create a new merge request here. Funny that on my local GDK I never use nor issues, not merge request, nothing. Just registries.
Oh gosh. So I'm gonna rant about my own problems for a second. I thought it would be really cool to have for my local test environment a top level domain of .local. And apparently on Macs, anything with .local gets sent to some weird DNS server which tries to like resolve some bonjour service or whatever and creates like 5-second delays on everything. But the workaround is you have to include the IPv6 in your etc hosts. No problem. Well, the only problem is every day my IPv6 changes, and I get GDK doesn't connect because the IPv6 has changed.
So just to reiterate it again, you are on the new 9AE14, right? Oh. Check the hash of the commit.
I am on 9AE141. Yes.
Yeah. So I just checked out 38B5DC and it works.
Oh wow! And we were saying it doesn't work.
Yeah. I just did a GDK restart, but I didn't log out. Maybe it's that.
Maybe, but I'm now concerned that it's non-deterministic.
So I'll just quickly share my screen, and you can, because I'm very bad at following scripts. So, so this is a merge request, right?
So what I was doing, was in a reply in a thread, add emojis and a label, and try and use the keyboard as well.
Yeah. This is, I didn't click anything here.
And then connect that. And then at the bottom in there, it makes sure that, try this now. Does the keyboard work?
This works, yeah.
Can you refresh, can you clear this text box and refresh the page? And then try this again, because it might be that.
So from here again, right?
Yeah.
And label, I don't know, Fiero. Add comment now. And now here I go 100. Yeah.
So this is, you said this was 38B5DC.
Yeah, just let me bring the terminal in view.
You can jump to the help page of your local GDK, and it'll show what ref it's running on too.
Here, right?
Yep.
Could this be like a race condition? Like, could it be that a change was introduced recently which is making script loading order non-deterministic or something like that? Or
Well, we were working on the main.js, but I haven't seen any changes.
yeah, you know, I wonder if it's something like it is a race condition and event listeners are being registered, but not in the order that's expected, that's required for the page to work, or something like that.
So what I had observed when I was testing this out, and it was like failing a lot, was that there was 2 suggestion containers, and my keyboard events were not focused on the suggestion container that I was looking at. It was the hidden one.
But why the keyboard will make in that case, will make the text area move around? Because the other one doesn't have a event trap.
Well, yeah, something right. And you're right. You bring up a good point. And I think I've understood it incorrectly. Whenever there was a bug, I noticed there was 2 containers. Well, I think I actually noticed that sometimes there was just 1. Oh gosh. Anyways, there are multiple of these suggestion containers that get created. And it seems like maybe one thing that could happen too, I need to try to recreate this on master. Yeah, I'm going to try to recreate it on master. I was able to do this consistently, but I don't know if this is the same bug or not. Can you go ahead and share your screen, Nico? Here's something I was able to do almost consistently.
I just changed the version to yours though. Ooh.
Okay.
Mine was working.
No, you're
Mine
good.
was.
Yeah, you're good. I might be able to do. Let me share my screen, and then let's all hop off in a little bit. This has been a freaking helpful session. I really appreciate us going through this and talking about it. It's a little sad that we haven't fixed it or know anything more about the problem
at all.
But I think the next solution, and maybe in the future, would be let's try to test it first, and then we can like automate bisect. And if we can create a test around this, that might be neat.
Why don't we create a feature test around this right now, and we just leave it there in the pipeline, and then the first time it goes red, we jump on it like hawks on a beer.
But I think that's not. If we basically write a script which does what we were doing already, then it's still going to have this flakiness to it where it sometimes pass, sometimes fail. So it's not going to help us get any close to what the problem is, if you see what I mean.
I do.
That said,
yeah,
we could run the pipeline like many times on a very old commit and then bisect on that. So you basically have to run the test several times to be sure, or...
That's a great idea.
But you need to restart the whole thingy to run the test several times, right?
Yeah, if we're really serious about solving this, and it's going to be some work. But you're right. I think looking at this slice where the issue is like prevalent, but now its visibility is flaky. That's a little strange. But if we move our slice to like 2 weeks ago when this wasn't a problem, to 3 days ago when this was very prevalent, I think we would see what maybe caused this. And rather than looking at what might have fixed it, that might reveal something interesting. Okay.
Frustrating.
I'm probably going to create a feature spec for this, and we can figure out what we want to do with that. Anyways, yeah.
That'd be awesome.
It hurt. I really don't want it to hit this release, and I know this release is coming up really soon. Oh well.
It will. I think it will. Today is basically the last day, isn't it?
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Well, it's
the guaranteed, right? If you
there is no guarantee. The documentation on that actually changed not too long ago. There is now only one date that is guaranteed, and that's the 22nd. Everything else is advisory at best.
That seems, yeah, that seems to represent reality. Well, hey, Mark, thanks so much. Nico, thanks for hopping on.
Pleasure for me to learn.